All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
And you are.
Yeah, you are moving forward. So tell us about the journey for the book. So when did that inspiration come to you, and what was that like to, like you said, every chapter is its own little story. What was it like to remember all of that and bring that forward?
Yeah, that was the story itself is part of the healing. No doubt about it. I think that I wrote the chapters, and then I had this whole crew of incredible people that would just step up and say, "Hey, I can proof it. Hey, I can edit it. Or, hey, I can help you with the book cover," that kind of stuff. So I knew it was meant to be written because doors were opening. And what happened really, I was in those ceremonies and I would hear something um, outside of myself because I had never even thought of writing a book. And it would say, "Write the book,
Mm.
write the book. You're meant to write a book."
Mm.
And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm meant to write a book because I've heard this 10 times and this is not coming, I didn't feel like from my mind. And, you know, when I wrote the pages, my kids, my husband, my mom, they all listened and I would cry and I would weep. Um, when I read the audiobook, which I also was like, I don't know if I want to read the audiobook. But somebody, well, not somebody, lots of people said, you have to tell your own story. You cannot let someone else read this. And I sat in my makeshift studio, as I lovingly referred to it, and I read those pages, and I swear that trauma, the last of it, left my body. So there was something sacred about not only writing this book, but also reading this book. And then now, as I get to have conversations, they are just feel more real. And I
Mm.
just want people to feel supported. And I like to just go deep quick. I don't want to talk about the weather. I want to talk about how are you doing, and how we can help each other get through this thing called life because it's hard, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I love
Incredible.
it. It is, absolutely. And so, as Pam mentioned, this is the completion of the book is fairly recent. And I'm assuming that you're still on your journey, your healing journey.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Well, a couple things happened. So, yes, I'm still on my healing journey. I think that's a lifelong journey because there's always room for improvement. Or, this week it's like, how can I be in a place of gratitude and love, and remember that, as opposed to running around with some of my old traits, like I'm just crazed and I have to get all this stuff done. And so I feel like it's a lifelong journey, but a couple things happened after I completed the book. This is crazy because I was so focused on the mind. I got in a car accident. Somebody hit me going 40 miles an hour in my car as well, but spun me around an intersection. So the next, 8 months, I had to focus on the body, which I had failed to do. And I thought, I read The Body Keeps the Score, and I thought, oh, that's not for me. Oh, but it is, right? It's a two-part system, and we hold all that in our tissues. And so I think that car accident in particular allowed me to work on the body next. And then, I unearthed all these intuitive abilities through this process. So now I'm going down this really cool spiritual path that is amazing.
I love it. What were some of the things that you did to heal the body going through it?
Yeah, I did cranial sacral,
Okay.
physical therapy, massage, yoga. exercise. Yeah, I felt like, oh, that's kind of sad. I've totally left the body behind. And I recognize that uh, how oftentimes we disregard our own body, right? And especially when we don't have when we have that emotional detachment, your body is definitely something that you kind of don't think about. So just gets you from point A to point B. And so, yeah, I did all the things and just was practicing slowness, right? Sitting outside as opposed to sitting inside or
Mhm.
connecting with nature, all the things that make us feel better if we actually take the time to do it.
I love that, practicing slowness.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's hard for a lot of us.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful thing. Can you share with us your spiritual journey? So it sounds like you're on this spiritual journey now as well. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's really funny because my mom and my aunt in particular, they had always seen spirits, mediumship. And for 47 years, 48 years, I was like, okay, kind of bless your heart. I'm gonna pay my mortgage off early, save for retirement.
Mhm.
And it was because I grew up, I was oftentimes an adult, right? In a lot of the scenarios I found myself in my childhood. So it was a way for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna, do this traditional life.
Mhm.
But Spirit had a whole other idea for me. It was like, excuse me, you have no idea. And so when I was in a journey, a ceremony in particular, and I just heard these messages and had what I felt like was a profound spiritual awakening, almost a divine calling. Not almost, it was a divine calling. But what it is that I have intuitive abilities and I work with people, I hold their hands and I can sense and feel blockages or stuck energy. And then we work to honor that and release it, hopefully, and with their in partnership with them. And sometimes physical things as well. I work with people and just able to, if it's tied to emotions, I have an ability to sense what's going on. And then we're able to really just honor that process. And yeah, I get visuals on the story. It's not like I'm reading somebody's mind, but I can sense and feel what's going on or I can see them at a certain age and where maybe that energy got stuck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Ma-
huge. I mean,
Mhm.
really, when you look at that, like you had this detachment from the physical, and I think oftentimes people don't realize when your body, like the physical portion of this whole journey, is tapping you on the shoulder and sometimes screaming in your face, like, "Hey, you need to stop avoiding this.
Mhm.
We're going to really work on it right now." And so going through that yourself, and then that your gift is actually connected to physical touch. So you're
Yeah.
so you're so that's interesting. Yes.
Yeah. They were probably laughing. Like,
Of course.
yeah. They're
Of
like,
course. Yes.
watch
And
this, guys.
exactly, exactly. Where it's like, well, that's adorable. She wants to, have the house paid off and all of that. We, the collective we, also need you to do this.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Katie, talk to us about like discovering that gift because this is something that I think many people have gifts and talents in different forms and fashions, and if they find it in this life, that's great, and some don't. But you've been fortunate enough to discover one of your gifts. So, what's that been like for you? Like when you realize that you could actually help people in their healing journey. Um, I would imagine that there was some emotion, reservation, hesitation that was connected to it, not just you diving in both feet, especially when you were focused on your to-do list that was still sitting on your desk.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, I've got to say that for me in particular, well, number one, I think everybody has gifts. My gift is just helping people unlock their gifts, which is really cool when you think about it. However, when this first hit, I must admit that I kind of freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't believe in this. And now look at me, and somebody saw this, and this is happening, and this person just got helped. And what is going on? Am I making this all up? Am I crazy? I went to a bunch of intuitives, shamans. I mean, I traveled the world seeking answers. And uh, needs validation will be on my gravestone, I swear. But hopefully that'll be fixed by the end of my lifetime, and that'll be gone. Another problem healed.
I love it. I wasn't thinking needs validation. I can just envision you like going to all of these healers saying, fix it. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do with this.
Do this.
Just-
Take care of this.
I know
What is this?
exactly. Exactly. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. And my mom's like, "Huh, told you so." Like
Yes.
that. Yeah. And so, but yeah, I just kind of, it, at first it was unnerving. Now it is a beautiful unfolding. And I think, quite honestly, the world needs us to all awaken to our gifts and our abilities and heal, because I think, number one, there's no expiration date, and healing is a birthright. But
Mhm.
I also think that I had to go through that process, a really challenging process. I mean, it was raw, vulnerable. I cried so much over here, but it was worth it, because then at the end, I get to see the light and how I can help others and help make the world a better place. My thought was, like, we see, for example, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but it does have a point, but we see, for example, when somebody has been abused, right? That could be like, if you think about the roots of a tree, that can reach families, other, friends. It can reach whole communities and create so much damage, right? Because a lot of times people repeat these cycles and patterns that they have experienced. I was fortunate that I did not. However, I think, what if we heal, right? And we learn our gifts, and then we get to do the opposite of that, right? And spread that positivity to our friends, to our family, to whole communities, and help make this world as right as possible in whatever way we can. And so, yeah,
Creating that ripple effect.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So it's
I-
been beautiful to just work with people, and for way too many intuitives say you're not crazy, just
Yeah.
go forth. So,
Go. Love
mhm.
it.
And the hard part is getting through all of the challenging, dark, sticky, the stuff that we have to get through in the journey, and
Mhm.
not giving up in order to get to the other side when you have this
Mhm.
realization, and then recognizing the actual impact that you have
Yeah.
once you get to the other side, or that you can have once you get to the other side.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like gold, right? It's like finding
Yes.
gold. And here's the thing, like, the strength and fortitude that it takes people to keep it together and keep doing the same cycles. I mean, we underestimate the amount of work that that takes.
Mhm.
And if you actually just use that same strength and fortitude to make some changes, and however, whatever path you choose,
Mhm.
like that, I feel like might help the world um, kind of get back on track, because it can be a little scary. And I think a lot of people are just have fear and sad, and they're scared, um, and it's just crazy. Like, as I started my healing practice in particular, I found that, a lot of the men that have been abused, because I work with men and women, but men, I think those numbers, those statistics, it seems like, from my perspective, are probably underrepresented of the actual impact that a lot of this abuse, these survivors have,
Yeah.
just been challenged with in their life. So,
Wow.
and I would say the same for women, right? For men and women, because we don't talk about it. It's
Yeah.
shameful, right?
There's
We think
you
we
just
carry the
hit the
shame.
name. Yeah, there's so much shame still in that space for both men and
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that we can continue to work through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Because,
Yeah.
everybody deserves this. They deserve a better life.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem with worthiness, is you oftentimes don't think that you are worthy of a better life. But I
Mhm.
truly believe that people are, and
Yeah.
that they can find their way home, and that it's miraculous, and even small changes allow us to see a little bit more clearly.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, when you talked about you thought you were okay and you were
Mhm.
going about the motions. You know, how many people are out there that think they're okay, that they've just buried it and they're doing their thing, but they haven't had that person like your son and your
Mhm.
daughter who said, "Hey, time out. You need to take care of yourself." Um, Such a blessing. And your message is obviously needs to be shared with those people that are living that don't have that person to tell them so that they
Mhm.
can have that hope and know that there is something on the other side of that
Yeah,
trauma.
totally. Because I think that Um, I made it out. I made it out. My cousins are in prison, in and out of prison. Like there, I know a lot of people that did not make it out or died, you know? So I feel like I have, now that I've made it out, um, and feel so much better, so much more whole and full, that I have a responsibility to share my message in whatever way I can, even if it's to one person, doesn't matter. But just to help, to let them know that they're worthy, that they're loved, that someone or something believes in them, and that there is a larger purpose. And it's just a better way to live. But yeah, so it's just like that's why I felt like I have a responsibility. And to be honest, talking about not only the abuse and the details I did, without trying to leave people with um just that sort of nasty soot of those stories on them, but telling my story, and then also really talking about therapeutic psychedelics,
Yeah.
right? Because I feared I would get judged. I'm known in my community for something very different than what I'm talking about in this book.
Yeah.
But I thought it is absolutely critical. And I think we all kind of need to, if we're in a space to do so, is to be able to help in whatever way we can. So the book and my practice in particular are ways that I'm working towards that goal.
Incredible.
Absolutely. For our
Mhm.
listeners that are curious about the book and even having an opportunity to work with you, talk to us a little bit about the book and how one can incorporate that, not just by hearing your stories, but it sounds like you have tools and practices within the book that will help people on their journey. Talk to us a little bit about those things that are available for them.
Yeah, so it's When the Universe Holds Your Hair Back, and it's
Mhm.
available on all platforms. Like I did the audiobook, and that's on Spotify and Amazon, and the hardback, paperback, ebook, everything is on Amazon and others as well. But I think what I did, how I chose to lay the book out, is that I talk about my stories in the childhood in particular. Like I'm Not Okay opens up and talks about where I found myself
Mhm.
when I hit sort of my rock bottom. And then I talk about the childhood, the experiences that had an impact on my adulthood because I had not addressed them, and what that looked like. And then how I work through to really resolve those burdens, emotional burdens. And sometimes it didn't happen just in overnight. It took a year to work through that. And so I wanted to lay it out. And what's been interesting is the feedback I've gotten thus far is like, oh, I hear my story in yours. So even though our stories are different, right? I did talk about so many different things, and it could be emotion like shame. Um, what happens when your children leave the nest, and how I actually felt
Mhm.
sort of lost, like I didn't know who I was. Suicide, addiction, and all the abuses. I talk about that as well. But I thought it was really important. I mean, the second half of the book, it lightens up, and you see the change and the transformation start to happen. So I feel like I wanted to just let people know with as much honesty that as was humanly possible, and that's what I put in the book, about my own personal experience, how I work through it. I'm not going to tell necessarily other people how they do it, but I'm hoping that this book gives them just a sense of hope, right? That like, hey, she was, this is kind of a messed up story, and she made it through. and this is what she experienced. But also, some of the things that I talk about in the second half of the book is how, in particular, it can feel like a lot of division. And how did I perceive humanity after some of these experiences? Because a lot of times, what happens when you have these ceremonies is you experience profound love or joy. Sometimes you don't know. Like in my case, I didn't really know what that felt like.
Mm.
However, I felt like when I sensed that, I knew it, I remembered it, I knew a way to get back home to that emotion. Whereas before it was unfamiliar, I had no idea. I didn't know what joy felt like.
Mm.
And so that's how I laid out the book and just really wanted to kind of close out with, what this
Yeah.
path, how it led me and the major changes that occurred in my life.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That is so lovely. I
Yeah.
think when you talk about like joy and love, and feeling that feeling and experiencing that, receiving that, and not having the historical context to go back to, but knowing that you want to continue to get back there, in your own space, right? It's one thing when you're in this controlled environment and you have a guide that's holding space for you, and you're kind of experiencing it as a collective, and then there's you're in your kitchen or your living room, or driving into work, and how can you get back to that place? So being able to fill yourself and bring that level of joy, letting it wash over you independently, I think is it's a great goal and objective to have.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, because really the ceremonies are like 5 to 10% of the actual work that
Yeah,
happens. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
when you get home, how can you incorporate those changes? How can you implement um, sort of the ideas or thoughts or things that crossed your mind? Like I journaled a lot, so that's why I actually had all the material for the book. But really, just like how can we make the changes at home? Because if you just go to a ceremony and do it and then go home and do the same thing, I feel like you will get stuck in your story. You
Mhm.
will not be able to get free of that. And my goal was actually the opposite. Like, I need to get out of this. This has been a prison for far too many years. And so, yeah, it's definitely, and then community, right? And all these incredible people that enter your life, and you're like,
Mm.
boy, these people are on fire. They're cool and they have purpose and they're, driven in a different way. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
Love
And if
it.
someone wants to work with you, Katie, how can they go about doing so?
Yeah, so I have Peace and Fire Healing. It's in Boise, Idaho. But I also I do online sessions as well. So I work with people over Zoom, and then yeah, I incorporate music so that I stay focused, and we work with people, and so it's really incredible, and we take notes and capture that. Um, yeah, so I do both, but yeah, I would love to share my website with everyone and book information. Yeah.
Absolutely. We will make sure that we drop all of that in the show notes so that our listeners can get their hands on it as well. And the power of Zoom, I'm so glad that that was something that became a normal household name. When you're meeting people in the field, you can meet them anywhere, right? Like now it's just
Yeah,
like, let's go.
I know. And who knew? Like we never really thought about Zoom prior to the pandemic. So I guess that's
No.
one blessing we took away.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think of
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
an amazing blessing because we get to interview people like you who are not in our same state.
Yeah.
And so it makes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. I love this. I love this. What's next for you? What
You
do you have
know,
on the horizon?
yeah, so I'm just in this really cool phase and I am loving it. So I'm writing blogs and I'm working with people like I just did some energy work earlier today. So I get
Mm.
this opportunity to help people one on one, and I'm gonna do some book readings this fall, so I'll travel around a little bit, kind of thinking about book number two. Now that I've opened this door, I think there's some tools and resources that people choose this path in
Mm.
particular that it might be beneficial to share from my own experiences. This one focused really on my life, but I think it's important to share sort of some of the other stuff that came about. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing. Lots ahead.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
How many books do you have, do you think? Have you received that? Do you know?
Three.
3.
That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
I say that kind of like 3. They told me 3. So
Yes.
I'll be okay.
That's what I thought. I figured you knew.
I know. I'm like, can I just do a couple videos and just get a little break? But I love the process of writing, but once you get on the other side, I'm telling you, it feels like a new frontier and it's so exciting. And I feel like my life just started.
Good for you. That's
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
I love that.
You're an
And I don't want us
inspiration.
to miss that little nugget that you said, because as we talk about this journey, sometimes it's challenging, sometimes it's hard. It's absolutely worth it. But even just in that moment, you said, hey, what if I just do videos instead and do a couple of blogs? No.
I know.
3 books, 2 more.
Yeah. I try to negotiate with Spirit. I'm not always, sometimes
Yeah.
it works. I'm just kidding.
Didn't work out so
We know
well.
who's in charge.
Exactly. I
Okay.
love it. I love it. Well, Katie, is there anything else that you would like to leave our listeners with that we haven't touched on today?
No, well, I just think that, healing is for everyone. Like I said, it's a birthright. It's everything. There's no expiration date on it. I've seen people in their 90s at some of these ceremonies, just getting a better understanding, knowing that their life is at the end, at the end. And so it's like, I really feel like healing is for everyone, that we are worthy. And I'm just here to really help as best as I can to support people through this process, because I feel like that's my life's mission now that I made it to the other side, because I know there's so many stories out there and so many opportunities for a different way of living.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Quick way to end.
Thank you. Yes, I love this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for writing the book, and sharing your information with our listeners. Again, we'll make sure that we put all of your contact info in the show notes and the link to your book in the show notes as well, so that they can click on through and get that. I'm going to download it on Spotify as soon as we hop off, because I'm an audiobook kind of girly. I like to do have that feeding in. But thank you for taking the time to join us. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity and to spend time with you all. So thank you.
Wish you the
You're
best.
welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for our listeners, you all know it. If you are wanting to know about all the things that are happening in the world of Reignite Resilience, head on over to reigniteresilience.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram. Until next time, we'll see you all soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.